Crossroads Football Live is presented by Victory Auto Group with Sports Director Max Williams and Weekend Sports Anchor Ray Robinson. Sponsored by Adson Offers Velocity Power Sports, Palace Bingo, and Frost Bank. Crossroads Football Live starts now.
Everyone, we have arrived here to week 3 of Crossroads Football Live, and tonight we got some great time action that we're going to look at between both teams. And we're going to start here with the Yoakum Bulldogs facing the Cuero Gobblers. It's the 116th time in this rivalry, and they call it the DeWitt County Showdown. Hey, it's no rivalry there for no reason. So before we get to that, though, I wanted to show out here tonight's viewer poll where we asked everyone, did you agree with my Friday Night 5 rankings there from last week? And a majority of you said yes. They're at 57%. In last week's rankings, we're Edna at number 5, Bay City at number 4, Cuero at number 3, Refugio at number 2, and Tidehaven number 1. Majority, like you said, agreed with me at 57%, but that list is scheduled to change at the later part of the show, so we will keep you updated there and the rest of the way as we get with it. But now, getting back to our game of the week, Cuero has gotten 2 ranked wins there versus Columbus and Lavernia the past 2 weeks, while Yoakum, they beat Calhoun and Industrial the past 2 weeks. So let's see how this game would go here between these rivals to start off with. First of all, what a start here for Jackson Marie, throwing across his body there all the way to the other side for a touchdown there for Cuero. And Cuero would take the early lead. How about Jordan Jones? This kid is an immense star. It's coming up to the scene right now for Cuero this season. And again, the Gobblers starting off strong. And how about this play here to stop Yoakum there? A couple players missed there on the play. And how about, you got to wrap up. You cannot tackle there in the open field again on kickoffs. Not going to work, because guess what? He takes it all the way to the house. Yoakum responds right back here for the touchdown in this game. And again, this game went back and forth all the way the rest of the way. And we look at the final score here in this ball game between both teams. Cuero would hang on to win. It actually turned to be 42-28 here in this contest. And for the Cuero Gobblers, next week, they are officially 3-0 right now, so they're going to face Corpus Christi Miller there next week, while Yoakum, they get to host Columbia next week, and they played one of our teams in Bay City. We'll give you that score there later on there tonight. Now, another game that we're going to look at between, how about this one? This could have been in game of the week consideration there between the Edna Cowboys traveling down to face the Refugio Bobcats here tonight. Edna, winning this matchup, they had a new quarterback in charge after Trevor Floyd was injured last week. And so, how's that going to start off with? Well, it didn't really matter for the offense to get it with for Edna, because look at this little play right here. Hands it off to Keegan Hicks on the first play, and the kickoff starting with it. And Keegan Hicks just shows out the speed, gets all the way there to the end zone for an early kick return touchdown for Edna. And they would start off with the early lead there, 7-0. And that's a way to start the tempo. But guess what? Ray Lewis last week had 3 rushing touchdowns versus London. Guess what? He shows it again here on this run. How about this? No one's going to touch him. It just goes all the way untouched there for the touchdown. Refugio would tie it back up. And guess what? He doesn't do it just once on this play. He does it again. How about this? Outside run. Almost tried to do a little hurdle on that play against there for Edna. Then the 2-point conversion by Lewis would ensue after that. And this game was high scoring, and this one turned out to be final. Refugio would get a big-time win, winning 48-21. Now for the Edna Cowboys, they are officially 1-2 there this season. Refugio is 3-0. So Edna's on a bye week next week, while Refugio is also on a bye week next week for both teams. And now another battle of 2-0 teams up there in Shiner, where they face the Poth Pirates tonight, again from the San Antonio area. And again, what a start there again for Shiner. How about this little toss-out play to the outside? And guess what? He's just going to keep it and go all the way there for 6 on that play for the touchdown for the Comanches. And again, this is a team that's a little bit under the radar this season. They're trying to find their groove, because last year, remember, they were state runner-ups in 2A Division II. And how about this play out there to Clayton Frick, they're part of me with the name, gets it all the way for the touchdown. And again, for Shiner, they keep this momentum going, because again, a team that's underrated. Let's see this real quick play there from Poth as he gets the touchdown, but it really wouldn't matter in this game, because Shiner would take care of business, winning 41-19. And remember this, folks, Shiner, the past 2 years started 0-3. Well, guess what? They beat all 3 of these teams, and now they are now officially 3-0. Now, they beat Poth there tonight for Shiner. They travel out to Industrial there next week, and I think for Shiner, this is a team, like I mentioned, has a lot of momentum on their side going the rest of the way. Now stay with us here in Crossroads Football Live as we see how Victoria West did tonight. Also, we see how Victoria East did, because again, they had the great battle of the boot. How would they respond? We'll give you those final results and scores coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Victory Auto Group, where the customer always wins.
Welcome back here to Crossroads Football Live. We just saw the scores between Cuero, Refugio, and Shiners. They got big-time wins tonight. But how would Victoria West do at home versus San Antonio Sam Houston Hurricanes? And West, they're feeling a little bit confident after beat East there in the Battle of the Boot there last week, 32-29. And again, it was also first responders night out there for Victoria West. So they again saluted everyone there and all their veterans and everyone else part of the military in this game. And guess what? They showed out first start. This was kind of a defensive battle when I got there. But a nice little play outside there from Nolan Boyce, the quarterback, finding Aiden De Leon for the big play. And then for Sam Houston, their quarterback there, Xavier Youngblood, makes a nice play out to Tristan Zachary for the play. And again, nothing was really going on. It had a miscommunication. Defense, as you could tell, they were making plays. But then literally after I left, all the scoring was starting to go there for Victoria West because the final score would be 39-0 there for Sam Houston there, Hurricanes. And again, for West now, they travel out to Beeville Jones to finish up their non-district play before they start up district play there on September 26th. Now over to Victoria East. Again, they had that tough loss there last week there to Victoria West. So they're trying to look to see if they can get their first win there over Gregory Portland there on the road there tonight. And again, for this matchup for Victoria East, they never really got going in this game because Gregory Portland kind of got the momentum started, and the final score there in this one would have been 36-0 over Victoria East. So again, not the way you wanted to. There were some big time passes for, again, the Wildcats that kind of just East were not ready for it. Now for East, they're officially 0-3 overall this year because they're going to be back there in district play versus Seguin Matadors there next week. Now back over to the 3A ranks where we had the Tidehaven Tigers looking to continue their dominance atop of our Friday Night 5 rankings as they were at home there versus the Hallettsville Brahmas. And now let's check out again how this game kind of turned out between both sides. Again, for Tidehaven, this is a team that again really builds confidence from their offense and defense. But Hallettsville makes a big time play there, big time hit there on the sideline for the Brahmas as they get down inside the red zone. Then a couple plays later, how about their quarterback finding the end zone and takes it there inside the red zone. Hallettsville would capitalize after that. How about Kale Russell, though, finds the big time play, gets the touchdown pass for Tidehaven. They would start a little slow in this game, but then they would turn around there with the final score in this one being the Tidehaven Tigers winning 35-7 over Hallettsville in this contest. And again, for Tidehaven, they are officially still, 3-0, and they're taking care of business because next week, it's the big-time matchup with Ganado. Possibly looking at our game of the week for Week 4. We'll have to see, while Hallettsville, they get to be hosting Rice Consolidated next week for that matchup. Now, Tidehaven didn't just win the football game tonight. They won this week's Band of the Week as well there for the Tidehaven Tigers. And last week, we gave it out to Calhoun as our Band of the Week. Well, shout out there to Tidehaven as, again, overall great team, again, band over there to watch. And again, we're going to see if you want to vote for your Band of the Week, just go there to crossroadstoday.com/contest and you can submit it in there for Band of the Week for future casts. Now stay with us here after the break. We're going to look at how El Campo gamed there from last night, and we'll also hear how St. Joe did as well. Those two scores, and see how Bloomington did. Coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Palace Bingo. High school football without the beat of the marching bands. Crossroads Football Live is excited to spotlight talent at our local high schools with our Band of the Week segment. Every week, we'll pick one band to feature on Crossroads Football Live. Get your cameras and show us your band under the Friday night lights. Go to crossroadstoday.com/contest to nominate. Tune in to CFL every Friday night at 10:35 to see who's marching to the top.
Again, props up again. If you want to try to get your band to be, again, our Band of the Week, again, just go out to, like we mentioned, out to our, again, website to be mentioned for Band of the Week. But now it's time to get back to the highlights here. We're going to talk about some games from last night. First, we're going to look at the El Campo Ricebirds facing the Doles Vikings out of the Houston area. And how about the Ricebirds? They would get going early. How about this big time run on the play there? Kylan Taylor gets it all the way to the end zone, and the Ricebirds have taken early 7-0 lead here in this contest there for El Campo. And again, they're a running team mostly for El Campo this season, but they can pass it too when they need to. Their quarterback there, Colt Reed, finds wide receiver number 1, Andy Russell. Just has to be one defender, and he's gone all the way. Look at the Jets there at the speed. Touchdown for El Campo. They take the early there 14-0 lead. And then after that, they kept pouring on some more more scores. This game is not even close for the contest as the Ricebirds would take care of business with their defense and offense in the rushing attack. There was a 58-0 score in this one. And one player that we had to spotlight there from last night's contest was Jeremy Soto. That game also, he had 12 carries there, 191 yards. How about this? 3 touchdowns, and his average rush there was 15.92, meaning he got 16 yards per carry. How about that there for Jeremy Soto? And again, they're a rushing team first for El Campo, and they're going to be facing Needville at home next week. The St. Joseph Flyers also played last night there, and they wouldn't improve to 3-0. Guess what they did? They beat the Mathis Pirates there 35 there to 20 here in this contest. And now, with that in mind now, they actually play Sacred Heart. We showed earlier in our 10 o'clock newscast there beat Louise. They're 33-8. So those teams will face off at Edna High School there next week. That play will be 7 p.m. And one of the players that was huge there last night for the St. Joseph Flyers was Jace Vasquez. I mean, how about this? 12 of 20, 226 passing yards, had 5 touchdowns. His longest throw yesterday was for 48 yards. And again, he's taken over for the quarterback last year, Aiden Aragon, who was a big-time person there for the Flyers this season. And so props up to Vasquez. 5 touchdowns, that is awesome to look at there. And St. Joe, again, will be hosting Hallettsville Sacred Heart there next week. Now, before we get back some more scores, we're going to reveal our fan of the week. And how about this going over from the Cuero game? You got 2 little cheerleaders there getting in the spirit there for the Cuero Gobblers, and what a big-time win they had, 42-28. And again, props up for losing the little 2-1s, being our fan cam selection for this week. And now finally over here to Bloomington as they had their first road game of the season there versus the Ben Bowl Badgers. And guess what? Bloomington officially improves to 3-0 this season, 34-12 over Ben Bolt. And they officially will travel over to Van Fleck there next Friday night. Now stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live. After the break, we're going to see how Goliad and Calhoun did, and we'll give you a quick rundown of some more final scores. That's coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Frost Bank.
Welcome back here to Crossroads Football Live. And earlier we talked about the Cuero Gobblers' big-time win, 42-28 over the Yoakum Bulldogs. And our weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson was at this game, and he had a chance to talk to one of the star players after their big-time victory for the DeWitt County Showdown.
That's right, Max. I mean, Cuero does it again for the 2nd year in a row, walking away with the victory. And one of the guys responsible is Mr. Jordan Jones. So, Jordan, good game, man. How are you feeling?
Feeling great, man. You know, that was my old school, rivalry school. Felt great to beat them. You know, there's a lot of trash talk, but I had to get that out of my head. Feels great. I had 2 touchdowns. It feels great. Let's go, Jordan!
And I mean, it's actually interesting that you are a sophomore. So what does it mean for you to be in such a historic game like this and just have a dominant performance and also just be one of the guys to help lead Cuero in the victory?
I mean, it feels amazing. Like, I worked all my life for this. And I dreamed of this moment my whole life, and it's just amazing for me. It felt great.
Absolutely. Can you just talk about, what is the team dynamic in the locker room, with your guys and stuff like that? Are they good leaders, and what are you just looking as we go deeper into the season, what do you look more to learn from the older guys, the Jacksons and the Walkers and the stars of the other stars of the team?
Yeah. They're great leaders. I love them. They're always pushing me to do great things, do better things. They know my potential, and it's just, I love having them as a senior class, and we're definitely going to go far with them.
Absolutely. I mean, we're still early in the game. You guys had 2 good games. Tell me 2 good games against tough competition. And competition only goes up from here. So, man, just what are you looking forward to as we go deeper into the season?
Just getting better as a team, getting closer as a team. Everybody's goal to get to state, and that's our number 1 goal.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
All right. Max, back to you.
All right, big-time win there for the Cuero Gobblers, beating the Yoakum Bulldogs 42-28. But what about another team in Goliad? They battled Industrial there tonight. And again, Goliad's trying to respond after a tough loss there. The Tidehaven last weekend. Right now, our number 1 team in our Friday Night 5 rankings. And so how would they fare against Industrial tonight on the road in this contest? And again, looking at there for both teams, Industrial, the Cobras, were a team that had to find a way to respond back. But the second quarter, the Cobras would start back. How about this play? Getting a big-time strike. That was Cooper Francis there with the ball. They're throwing it there, and the Cobras will be up there by 7 here in this contest. But then, how about this? Nearly 3 minutes to go. Goliad scores right back, and they would get this back in their favor. However, they would miss there the extra point, but that didn't really matter because this would take us there to halftime, and Goliad would find a way to get the victory here, 21-14 over Industrial. So Goliad officially moves back up there to 2-1 overall. Again, they're off next week for Goliad. For Industrial, they host talented team in Shiner next week. Now, how about the Calhoun Sandcrabs? They traveled out to Houston to face the St. John's Academy Mavericks tonight. And for Calhoun, they got one talented kid, Isaiah Cabrills. Look at this, man. I mean, he is one of the top wide receivers for a reason. I mean, he was kind of mentioned him earlier in the year, how he had to move from triple option more to a spread. He's doing it in a wildcat formation to get again touchdowns. And a big-time play there for Calhoun, as he would get the big-time touchdown in this game. But then afterwards, you get the extra point. It makes a big time to help the scoring out there for Calhoun there in this game. But now for the Sand Crabs, they would also get some big-time production as well from Holton Hadley. He got some big-time runs to make the play. But for Calhoun, they lost this one because the defense could not help them out. You can have so much on offense, but if the defense can't help you, it can't get the job done. So officially there for Calhoun, 0-3 there overall. They're going to be hosting Stafford Spartans there next week. For Ganado, how about this score? I mean, this team knows how to score some points. How about 56-45 over East Bernard? They get a little bit of revenge there over East Bernard. So for Ganado, they're going to get the victory there. And guess what? They host Tidehaven next week. Big time matchup to watch in week 4. How about Yorktown? They improve now to a big time win to 2-1 overall to win tonight over the Skidmore Titan Bobcats, and they officially will host the Taft Greyhounds next week at home. Bay City Blackcats, a team that got a big-time win over Edna last week in week 2. They keep it going. They're officially 3-0 right now, beating the Columbia Roughnecks 28-20. And again, for Bay City, they face a very talented but underrated Sealy Tigers team there next week. And finally, just stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live as we're going to reveal this week's Friday Night 5 rankings and just highlight just one more score. That's coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Hudson offers Velocity Power Sports Outdoor Fun Store.
All right, everyone, we're going to end the show just talking about one final score, and then it's time to reveal this week's Friday Night 5 rankings. So let's check out Shiner St. Paul as they face the St. Joe Paul Centrons, and hey, guess what? They won this game 51-7 there for Shining Paul. And again, for the Cardinals, they're actually also going to be off next week for their back in action there in 2 weeks' time. Now over to this week's Friday Night 5 rankings here. And again, this one we've always talked about. It's our weekly staple here on the show. And last week, about 57% of you agreed with me with my poll there with my last Friday Night 5 rankings. About 43% though, they said no. So guess what? Let's see what you all think for this week. But we're going to mention some honorable mentions to start off first. How about Victoria West Warriors? I think this team, they are improving week by week. I think having that Battle of the Boot contest kind of helped out West the rest of the season. Again, you can tell that Nolan Boyce is getting more comfortable with the offense. Aiden DeLeon's making some big time plays. And Tristan Menard, even though he's not had the stats as he did last year, he's helping their team out a lot, getting the big time plays, but also the running game with Brody Flores and Genesis Jeffries. Remember, he was our athlete of the week, Genesis Jeffries, about a couple weeks back. And guess what? He's showcasing that there for the West Warriors. Brody Flores is another underrated player as well. And for West, I think they're going to make a deep run there next week. But another team I think is another flying under the radar team is the El Campo Ricebirds. Last year, remember, they lost 5 straight to end the year. That's probably what Travis Reed did not want. Guess what? They're 3-0 and they're destroying teams right now. Now you're probably saying the Doles Vikings, they are a 6A team, but they're overall not the best team out of 6A. But I would still say overall that El Campo is a talented team, and I think once they get into district, they can make a lot of noise going the rest of the way. But now let's get to this week's Friday Night 5 rankings, and we're going to start here with our number 5 team. Let's check it out. With number 5, it is the Ganado Indians. They make the list. And again, Ganado, they've been scoring a lot of points this season. I mean, Landon Arriaga has been the quarterback to watch out for this year, but also Austin Payne and Logan Burrs are getting better and better by the weeks go by. Now, the one thing that worries me about Ganado this year, they allowed 27 points to Bowling last week, and tonight they allowed at least 35-36 to East Bernard. So their defense has to tighten it up if they want to try to get to that championship caliber, go back-to-back 2A Division I state champions. What about number 4 on the list? The Shiner Comanches, they're still in there. They're, again, a team that was runner-ups last year, 2A Division II, and guess what? They're trying to now find a way to see if they can get there on their team. For me, they still got the talented Jarvis Williams, Quincy Jones, their running back, has made plays. But Jake Simper, again, I mentioned it the past couple of weeks, he's that underrated quarterback that makes big-time plays. And for Shiner, they got actually a kind of a challenge next week. They face Industrial, a team that, again, is 0-3 right now, but guess what? They're playing very tough competition week by week. So I think for Shiner, they have to keep consistent there before they go to district where they know they can take care of business. Let's look at number 3 team, a team that moved down from number 2 is the Refugio Bobcats. Now, even though they beat Edna tonight there, 48-21, I still think Refugio is a talented team to watch out for. Ray Lewis is just getting better on the rushing game at quarterback spot. Xander Wills, I mean, I think he's the new Jordan King of this offense. He can make big-time plays. He can spurt for runs, as you can see right there on your screen. And again, also this offense has got a sneaky okay getting even better passing attack. That's the key. If Lewis can get well in the passing game for Cuero, they can be a talented team to watch. And I think they could challenge Ganado and find a way to win it this year out in 2A Division I. Now let's look at our number 2 team to watch out for. The Cuero Gobblers. Yes, they moved up to number 2. They've impressed me with those 2 big-time wins over Columbus. Columbus there in week 1, and guess what? They beat Lavernia in week 2, and then guess what? In week 3, they beat the Yoakum Bulldogs in a rivalry game, and Jackson Marie Walker Dietz is getting better. Melo Perez, he just scored that touchdown you see there on your screen. He's that underrated player that's big at the running back spot, and their defense made some big-time plays when they needed to against Yoakum to get the victory, and they're officially the number 2 team to watch for me. Now, number 1 on this screen, the Tidehaven Tigers. They have not lost their spot there, number 1. Now, granted, they started a little bit shaky against Hallettsville to start the game, but guess what? Once they had to, they got the job done. I mean, Cale Russell is, again, that quarterback that has just been outstanding this year to watch out for. But also, again, Boogie Galvin has made some big-time plays as well at the wide receiver spot, and their defense has been much improved from last season, which is key there for Tidehaven if they want to make that deep run all the way. And I think they were only a win short. They lost to Woodville Eagles there last week. I mean, not last week, last year, pardon me. They're in the state semifinals. But so that's going to be key for Tidehaven. If they can be consistent and they can finish the rest of the way, I think they can stay atop of 3A Division II. Now, thank you, everyone, to our sponsors, the Victory Auto Group, Palace Bingo, Frost Bank, and Velocity Power Sports. Again, if you want to check out more sports updates, you could just come to crossroadstoday.com or download our app and look for our podcast on every Monday or Wednesday they're going to next week. And now, everyone, we're going to start getting ready for district play. A lot of teams are going to have bye weeks to come up for there in week 4 of Crossroads Football Live. And until that happens, see you next week on Crossroads Football Live.